This is called a tektite, and it may just be the most powerful negative energy absorbing stone on Earth, though it is not technically a stone, nor is it entirely of this Earth. I like to think of a tektite as a part earthly and a part heavenly in its origin, and it takes a massive infusion of energy that from a meteorite impact to create and form a tektite. Some shamans believe that tektites are actually gifts from the stars, and they have been used as protective talismans and tools for drawing out and absorbing negative energies in mystical and spiritual practices since before recorded time. A tektite can be an incredibly powerful and useful ally in today's crazy modern world. In fact, we have never before in human history been so exposed to so much potential negative energy. We are in fact bombarded day to day by negative energy forces. This can range from our own inner ability to create negative energy within ourselves via worry, fear, anxiety, and stress, to external factors such as the moods and vibrational fields of other humans around us. This extends even further as we recognize our own quantum energetic entanglement with the entire world. Not just the people in our local space, but the entire world on a spiritual, energetic level. When the world as a whole has a lot of suffering, fear, and anxiety amongst its humans, we as individuals become a part of that collective experience. Since all energy and frequency is entwined with other energy and frequency on a quantum level, when the world worries, you could put it simply that we worry with the world on some energetic level. When the world is particularly full of fear, stress, and anxiety, you may notice your own personal stress, anxiety, and fear increasing for reasons that you can't quite explain. And don't forget our modern technological advances. Wi-Fi transmissions are so common that in many places of the world you can't go anywhere that there aren't at least a dozen Wi-Fi signals to connect to. Cell towers, satellites, radio signals, and more. There is an incredible background of electromagnetic smog present in our day-to-day lives, more than has ever been recorded in history by far. Science has proven, decades ago even, that we are beings of pure energy at our finest level. In fact, every cell in our body is made up of atoms. Atoms are pure energy. We are entirely made up of atoms, and atoms are just energy. So as beings of pure energy, do you think that constant exposure to erratic and fluctuating energy fields such as those from Wi-Fi devices, cell towers, power poles, your laptop, TV, your mobile phone, could these possibly be affecting your own personal energetic field? All of these emit fields of energy. Do you think that being a being of pure energy that we do not experience these emissions on some level? Yeah, of course we do. But are these terribly bad things on their own? Not necessarily. But they are one of many factors of erratic energy bombardment that we are subject to every single day. Let me give you a metaphor. Is the wind bad? Is the blowing of the wind bad? No. But does it have an influence on the sand as it blows across it each day? Yes, indeed it does. And what if the wind wasn't blowing from only a single direction? What if instead it was an erratic, stormy wind whipping in from all directions? Remember that we are being bombarded day by day from both our internal storm, that is the storm that we are creating within ourselves, from the nagging of a discontented mind, our fears, anxieties, stresses, worries, goals, even aspirations that we have yet to live up to. As I mentioned, we are fully capable of generating our own negative energy from these unfortunate patterns of thought. But if this wasn't good enough on its own, add the general anxiety that the Earth is experiencing on a global quantum energetic level, our entanglement with that on a spiritual level with all other humans on Earth, and the exposure that each human is now getting on a daily basis from major news outlets, the internet. We can't avoid it even if we want to, day after day after day. They will not let us have a single day without some catastrophe being reported on somewhere, and our nervous system as humans is not designed to process all of that. We are not evolved to mentally and emotionally process the suffering and strife of an entire planet, and yet we do. We may be living in a modern world, but our nervous system is not upgraded for this modern world. It is evolved. It has been evolved over millions of years to process the functioning and daily goings on of a tribal-like society of 10, 20, 50 members. we're not designed to process the entire world. So if you've ever found yourself feeling overwhelmed by all of that, don't worry, you're not alone. We're not designed to process that. We are just not. And yet we do. And yet we do. So we have our internal environment, we have our global environment, and we have even our local tribe environment. This is our family, our friends, our close acquaintances, all of which and whom are doing their very best to process all of the same things that we are doing our very best to process, to varying degrees of success. And sometimes, as we all struggle, we reach out for support from our friends, from our family. Sometimes support is not given. Sometimes interpersonal conflict erupts, and this is even more disharmonious energy that we have to figure out how to process and how to deal with. It can be difficult enough living within your own mind, with your own moods and your own personal state of well-being, also having to process other people's moods, minds, and emotional state of well-being. Well, I'm sure I don't need to explain how that feels and what's that is like. We all have personal experiences to draw on. It's hard doing humaning sometimes, right? It really is. It really is. And here's the unfortunate thing, I'm not done yet. I am unfortunately not done, because beyond these things we also have even darker forces to contend with. Beyond this world, we start to venture into darker realms, where dwell entities of negative energy. These have throughout the history of religion been known perhaps by the name demon, devil, or dark spirit. These negative energy entities exist in a sort of parallel dimension to our own, and whilst it has been reported throughout the ages that these beings can be very powerful, capable indeed of even possessing a human being, for the most part, however, what we encounter is sort of more like a parasitic life form that seeks out positive light energy to feed off of. It is not necessarily evil, but it does have a negative effect on our own state of well-being. These negative energy entities can attach themselves to a host and drain away the life force energy of that person over time. If you find yourself always experiencing low energy, bad mood, or the inability to shake stress, fears, and anxieties, it could mean that you have had a negative energy entity attached to your auric body for some time. Negative energy entities may first enter in through a condensation of fear, anxiety, and stress, and maintain a hold of a being which they inhabit by draining the powerful positive light energy away from the host, and by keeping the host in a state of lower vibrational field. It becomes sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. A person feels bad, and so this negative energy entity is able to exist within that host. If you are an especially strong force of goodness and light, you might even find yourself being targeted by these beings of negative energy, as negative forces work to break down your protective light energy barrier by installing fear, doubt, and anxieties into your mind. The good news is that pure positive energy cannot be directly infested. First, a positive light being has to be broken down by energy-draining thoughts and emotions like anxiety, fear, worry, doubt, insecurity, and stress. It is only after a way in is created that negative energy entities can attach to a host. They cannot in fact survive in pure positive energy. Let me give you an example. A fungus might not be able to survive and grow in direct sunlight, but it does still need the sun's energy. It needs to grow in a dark and protected place, and in the right environment, a fungal colony will spread rapidly. This is true of negative energy entities. In the right environment within the energy body of a particularly negative person, these entities will thrive and take great hold over such an unfortunate human. So how do we keep our energy fields high, bright, and full of light so that we can avoid being attached to by these negative energy entities? Well, the importance of maintaining spiritual practices to help boost our mood and dispel negative emotional states cannot be overstated. These might include practices like meditation, yoga, deep breathing, ice baths, exercise, and spending time in nature. And of course, utilizing tools such as crystals. These can be very powerful and passive ways to protect ourselves from negative energy. In our case here today, we are looking at one of the most powerful stones on Earth, the Tektite. Let's take a closer look at tektites and how they work to protect from negative energy frequencies, be that frequencies from your own emotional state, from the world's goings on, or from negative energies indeed. Any sort of negative energy frequency, technological, personal or otherwise, tektites can help to absorb negative energy and diffuse it into harmless neutral energy. In crystal healing, one of the first things that we learn is that one of the best ways to understand the nature of a crystal or stone is to look at its color. Color teaches us a lot about the essential nature of what makes up a crystal or stone. Let us consider these three examples: black, white, and clear. And let us also use a familiar energy form that we all know very well, the energy form known as sunlight. This will help us to better understand how on a rudimentary level we can understand the nature of a crystal or stone and its interactions with energies. So let's first take a look at what happens when light from the sun contacts a black stone, a white stone, or a clear form of crystal such as quartz. In our first example, when sunlight encounters a white stone, the rays of light will mostly bounce off of that stone. And you will find that on a bright and sunny day, a lighter colored stone will be cooler to the touch than a dark colored stone. And this is because light colored surfaces will reflect and dark colored surfaces will absorb and hold energy. The hottest stones on the beach will be the dark colored ones, since instead of reflecting the sun's light, these types of stones absorb the sun's energy. Some examples of dark colored stones can include obsidian, tourmaline, and of course, tektites. To further illustrate how crystals and stones interact differently when exposed to a source of energy, let us look at what happens when sunlight impacts clear crystal quartz. In this case, sunlight does not bounce off, nor is it absorbed and held. Instead, it passes right through the crystal, and it moves through the crystal, bouncing off of its intricate internal latticework of microgeometry. If you have ever seen a perfectly cut gemstone like a diamond ring sparkling like a rainbow in the light, that is a result of light energy bouncing around within the internal latticework of a perfectly cut crystal that creates a rainbow of color when it finally finds its way out of that diamond. In the crystal healing world, quartz is known as an energy amplifier, and you can see this effect for yourself. If you angle a clear piece of quartz correctly under sunlight and hold it just so, it will amplify the sunlight energy so much so that it will combust into fire. This is similar to holding a magnifying glass under sunlight. So this is for those of you who wish to logically understand how a tektite could possibly absorb and help to protect you from negative energy. There are those of us who love to understand how a thing could work, and those who don't really care as much about a logical understanding and can simply believe and intuit and feel a thing to be true. Now in this video, I can't exactly give you a piece of tektite to hold onto, but if you did, you might start to sense something very interesting about this unique object. It has been often stated how plain and boring a piece of tektite looks, but how mysterious its energy feels when you actually hold onto one and spend some time meditating with one. For myself, I actually think they look very interesting, like miniature meteorites, but I can certainly understand how some people perceive them as rather plain looking. So, how exactly does a tektite protect you from negative energy? Let's get into the logical, scientific part of this for just a minute. For those of you who love to logically understand how a thing works, this is for you. If you're more the intuitive type of person, you might already find yourself wanting to own tektite stone for yourself, and I will make a link available so that you can do just that. It will be somewhere near this video. But for the scientific mind, let's look at the interaction between energy, in this case dark energy, and what happens within the structural matrix of a tektite that causes it to absorb this dark energy away from you. In order to understand this interaction, it is first important to understand frequency on a basic level. You see, everything in the universe is frequency, and frequency is pattern. It is melody, and in the case of negative energy, it is a pattern which is out of harmony, which is erratic, which is disorganized. If you could hear negative energy, it would sound like an untuned piano playing notes at random, like a 2-year-old child banging away on this piano with no harmony, no melody, no rhythm, just noise. It is erratic, and if you've ever heard it for yourself, it's not rather pleasant to listen to, is it? In fact, it can be entirely irritating. By contrast, positive energy could be thought of as highly organized, harmonized, like music being played. In a nutshell, negative energy is disharmonious frequency. and we can experience this on a very easy to understand physical level by thinking about and comparing it to sound. Sound is something that we are all familiar with, but there are more energies that we cannot as easily experience with our eyes or ears, but play out anyways behind the scenes and beyond our physical senses. For example, can you hear a Wi-Fi signal? No. Can you feel its warmth like sunlight? No. But is it still there? Yes, indeed. Now, as we established earlier, a tektite's essential nature is to absorb and hold energy, not to reflect it and not to amplify it like clear quartz did, but to absorb it and to hold it. That is the first part of what tektite does when dealing with negative energy. The next part is really quite remarkable, and to understand what tektite does with negative energy after it is absorbed has to do with frequency. Now remember that negative energy is erratic frequency, like the making of random noises, not like the playing of a song, but the making of random erratic noises. So first, a tektite will absorb negative energy, as we talked about, but you may be wondering, after a negative energy is absorbed, what happens to that energy? Does it overload the tektite? Is it always contained within the tektite? Now this is the really cool part. First off, consider what happens to a dark colored stone on the beach when the sun goes down. The stone will stay warm for a while, but eventually the heat which it is holding will slowly dissipate and the stone will cool down. The stone will entirely release all of the energy that it has been holding, but it won't release it as sunlight. It won't release it as this bright glowing stone on the beach. No, it will release it as heat energy. This energy has been transformed from sunlight into heat. A tektite will function in a similar way with negative energies that it absorbs. Before releasing absorbed energy, first a tektite will transform the absorbed energy into a neutral energy. The absorbed erratic energy will become stabilized within the unique matrix of the tektite, and once its frequency is stable enough, those atoms of energy will essentially slip out of the atomic structure of the tektite as neutral frequency or neutral energy. If we were to use our earlier example, comparing energy to music, you could think of this as quieting the noise. A neutral energy could be thought of as the sound of silence. Now, there are several powerful dark energy absorbing crystals and stones in the world. Black obsidian is one, tourmaline is another, but tektites are perhaps the most powerful of all. The composition of a tektite is such that it is extremely good at absorbing dark energy quickly, and by the same token, extremely good at transforming and releasing that dark energy as neutral energy also. Other stones, such as obsidian, can also do this, but tektite may be the best at it. You can almost see, in fact, by its unique looking exterior structure, a tektite almost has a sponge-looking quality to it. What you are seeing on a physical level demonstrates the internal latticework of its energetic makeup. Remember, all things are energy, and the design of a tektite is such that absorbing, transforming, and releasing energy is just something that it does very well. Keep in mind that form follows energy. If the external form of a thing looks in a certain way after manifesting into a physical state, that is a demonstration of its internal energetic latticework. So that is essentially the simple explanation to a very complex journey into the quantum realm of energy and frequency. But like I said before, some of us like to understand a thing logically, and some of us like to feel a thing emotionally and connect with our inner awareness to teach us the truth about the nature of the universe. We live in a rather crazy world. Like I said before, negative energies bombard us on a daily basis. You may have a better understanding now of how all of those dark and erratic negative frequencies can affect us day to day, and how having a tektite nearby you, carried in your pocket, purse, or perhaps fashioned into a pendant, can help to protect your own energy field from erratic turbulence of negative energies. One tektite can be enough to carry around with you, but it can also be beneficial to place several tektites around your house or workplace to allow them to do their work passively even when you're not there, helping to keep your space balanced, harmonized, and clear of negative energy. At Spirit Magica, one of the things we love the most about running a crystal shop is knowing that the crystals and stones that we help to get out into the world on an energetic level are helping to balance and harmonize both the individual human experience and the global experience of being a part of a collective consciousness. As each human in the world heals and becomes more whole and more in balance and more full of joy, we all benefit by that collective state of well-being. I believe that despite the crazy, crazy world that is today, we are headed towards a golden age of advanced spiritual enlightenment. But in the meantime, you may wish to get yourself a tektite or even several to help protect you from the day-to-day bombardment of negative forces. Work with us to slowly help to make the world a better place by giving yourself the best human experience that you can. We have a limited supply of tektites available, but we are going to put them on sale with as big a markdown as we possibly can. We want to help to get as many of these out into the world as possible. As humans in this advanced modern world, we really need all the help we can get. It's about living your best possible life, feeling the best you can each day, and moving towards your very best version of you. If I was to only buy or recommend buying just one single crystal or stone, even there are so many I love, I would recommend buying a tektite. I think there is no other single stone that can be as powerful of an ally in helping to improve the day-to-day human experience, taking some of the burden of erratic negative energy that you would otherwise have to process within your own personal energy field. We have enough challenges to deal with, and transforming negative energies into neutral, harmless energies can be incredibly beneficial day to day. Imagine a less stress, less anxiety, and less worry. That sounds pretty good to me. Now, it should be noted that a tektite stone alone is not going to entirely immunize you from all negative experience, though wouldn't that be nice? The world, unfortunately, isn't ready yet for pure bliss. It can, however, greatly reduce those unpleasant emotions and help you to experience a greater harmony and to find your joy more easily, feel the lightness in your soul, and to get you unstuck and out of static and unpleasant states of being. Start by clearing your own energy field and see how you feel. Fill your home or space with these powerful allies. As I mentioned, we have a limited supply of these, and it gives me great hope to see them selling out as quickly as they are. As I mentioned, one of the joys of running a crystal shop is knowing that the crystals we help to put out into the world are then helping to make people feel better, and perhaps in some small way helping to make the world a better place. The more tektites we can position around the globe, the better off we will all perhaps become. But as I said, we do have a limited stock, and it may take a while for me to find more of these after this batch sells out. So do take action if you indeed want to summon a tektite ally into your life. And do let us know the difference that you feel day to day with all love and respect. I wish you a beautiful day. Namaste.